Having company over is so much fun. I love throwing a dinner party, but you know, if it's expensive to entertain, it can sort of dissuade you from doing it very often. Well, beef Burgundy is one of those things that is so perfect for a dinner party, and it looks like it would be very, very expensive, but it doesn't have to break the bank at all, and it is a classic, a revelation, an absolute wonder, one of my favorite dishes on earth. I called it beef Burgundy. The official name is beef Bourguignon, and it's not complicated at all. It just takes a little bit of time. I started yesterday when I poured a bottle of red wine over 4 pounds of cubed chuck roast, covered it, and let it marinate in the fridge overnight. Then today I strained it and reserved the liquid, put the meat on a sheet pan, patted it dry, and seasoned it with salt and pepper. Then I browned the beef in a pot that I'd cooked bacon bits in, and that's where I'm up to. Look at this beautiful beef. It marinated in that red wine, so it has a deep, rich flavor. And I'm gonna move on with the beef Bourguignon. So just as a little shortcut, I'm using some bagged sliced carrots and some bagged pearl onions. And I'm gonna give these a stir and let them start to cook. All right, now in goes some tomato paste. I'm gonna add a whole can of it. This may not be the most authentic, traditional beef Bourguignon, but it is absolutely delicious. Of course, Julia Child made this famous, and for good reason. It's just one of those dishes that tastes like you've put days and days into it. It has the most incredible flavor, but it's not complicated. And in this case, it's not very expensive. Chuck roast is a relatively inexpensive cut of meat, and you can also use any roast you might have in your fridge or freezer. Rump roast works really well. I love dishes where you can kind of change up the beef according to what you have on hand. All right, next up, 4 whole cloves of garlic, and I think it's ready to pour in the liquid now. All right. So I told you I marinated the beef in red wine, and I used pretty cheap red wine. I didn't use Burgundy, I used Pinot Noir. And I saved it when I took the beef out, and I've been simmering it on the stove. So it is not gonna go to waste. It's gonna become part of the cooking liquid for the beef Bourguignon. And I'm also adding the same amount of beef stock. Ooh, this is so good. So rich. And I'm gonna scrape the bottom of the pot just to loosen up all the bits from cooking both the bacon and the beef. I'll give you the reasons this dish is so perfect for entertaining or hosting. So first of all, as I've established, it will not break the bank, and it serves quite a few people. This could feed like 6 people if they're really hungry, or it could serve up to 10 depending on portion size. Another thing I absolutely love about it, and it has a dual purpose, you can make this ahead of time. You can make it actually up to 2 days ahead of time, because dishes like this actually seem to get better if you make them ahead of time and let them sit in the fridge and then reheat. All right, I think I got all of the yumminess scraped off the bottom of the pot. So I'm going to add some herbs. I've got bay leaves and a couple of sprigs of rosemary, delicious. I'm also gonna add salt and pepper. All right, I'll stir in the herbs, and then of course, the beef goes in. Look at this. There's just something magical about a braised meat dish like this. Okay, I'll turn the heat all the way down to low, and then the lid goes on, and I just need to be patient and let this simmer for 2.5 to 3 hours until the meat is fall apart tender, and it is gonna be so good with buttery noodles. The Bourguignon is all finished, so I'm just getting the noodles ready to serve it with. I just cooked some egg noodles and I melted some butter, and I've been tossing them in the melted butter. And I'm gonna give them a little bit of zip by squeezing in some lemon juice and adding lemon zest and a little salt and pepper. This is one of my favorite ways to make noodles, no matter what I'm serving them with. And then what makes these really delicious is fresh parsley, and I'm gonna add quite a bit, and I'll save some of the parsley for serving the bourguignon. So let me toss these noodles. I love egg noodles because you can buy a bag about this big and have them in canisters in your pantry, and it's just a nice, easy option and economical, I might add. All right, the noodles are done, so this is where it gets very, very exciting. I'll put a bed of these lemon parsley noodles in the bottom of a shallow bowl. I love a shallow bowl. First of all, they're so practical. You can serve anything with like mashed potatoes or pasta, lots of surface area, but also shallow bowls just look really pretty. They always look inviting when you're having guests over. And now comes the beef bourguignon, and it looks incredible. The cooking liquid, I'm gonna pull this rosemary sprig out. The cooking liquid is just slightly thickened. It is so incredibly rich. I'm just giving it a stir. So just grab a big ol' ladleful, and you wanna get plenty of meat and veggies and goodness gracious. And if you've played your cards right, every piece of beef looks like it's about to totally fall apart if you even look at it. Ooh, looks fantastic. Okay, now I saved the bacon that I cooked in the pot before I started making the beef bourguignon, so I'll sprinkle on just a little bit, and I'll end the whole thing with a glorious sprinkle of parsley. To call this beef stew is an injustice because it is so much more than beef stew. It is beef bourguignon, or beef Burgundy, as I've always known it. Such a wonderful thing to make for guests. You gotta try this soon. Oh man. It just fell apart. The beef is so good.